we are performing the scratch test on the Samsung Galaxy A21s to know the quality and scratch resistant capabilities of the glass protection on the display. The type of tempered glass protection used on the A21s by Samsung is not officially mentioned and will be tested by rubbing with the blade of a heavy-duty box cutter and common atoms found in pockets. Metal is not supposed to scratch glass, since glass is harder than steel on the Mohs scale of hardness. Here's where the blade comes to use, since poor quality glasses on some devices with pre-applied plastic screen protectors do get heavily scratched or scuffed up. On the other hand, even basic Corning glass protection on budget Redmi devices are able to survive the blade. The unnamed tempered glass protection on the Samsung Galaxy A21s turns out to be as good as Corning glass protection and passes my scratch test without taking any damage or scuff marks. We have the latest Galaxy A21s here in the studio, Samsung's latest release, which looks and feels exactly same as the highest priced A series devices like the A71 or A51. Definitely more premium than the plasticky A20 or the A20s, which has an entirely different but strong design. This Korean made A series device is ideal for light users to moderate users at max, not into heavy gaming but still want a Samsung device with premium looks, big battery, a punch-hole selfie camera and a quad camera setup. But we are here to test out the build quality of the A21s, drop impact resistance and resistance against water. The back is glossy plastic as usual and has this psychedelic color effect when light reflects off the back. It in fact has a lighter in-hand feel than its actual 192 grams weight and should do better in handling drops. But in my usual trial bend, the build unfortunately feels kind of soft like previous failed A series devices. Things to note are that the Samsung Galaxy A21s is not water resistant and does not have any kind of IP rating whatsoever, so it will be extremely dangerous to submerge it underwater. Also, the SIM tray has no rubber seal on it, present on some budget devices with their own proprietary splash resistance, or others like Redmi with P2I coating on them. We are checking for the presence of oleophobic coating on the unnamed tempered glass protection. The oleophobic layer helps to lessen fingerprint smudges on the display, and as you can see, its presence is proved as the water is taking the form of droplets and rolling off the screen. In devices without oleophobic coating, the water doesn't form droplets, but instead tends to stick on the surface, forming a pool. A number of things may happen to non-water resistant devices during the water test. For example, the Redmi Note 8 during the light splashing round had suffered from a permanent black screen due to motherboard damage, or the Zenfone 5Z which got severe display damage after heavy drenching. Though the most common effect of water on devices with no water resistance is sound distortion and low loudness levels, which can last for a few seconds or continue for many hours, which can damage the sound, display or motherboard. Unfortunately, Samsung devices have not done too great in this area, and it is also the same with the Samsung Galaxy A21s. The distorted low audio from the external speaker took about 20 minutes to recover back to normal, and overexposure can lead to permanent damage. But there is more to it in the sound department, and we'll be coming back to it later in the video. The first drop on hard marble from pocket height, bottom side facing down. No damage from the first drop from pocket height. Let's move on to the second drop, top side facing down. No dents or damages as yet from the topside drop. Now the third drop, quad camera unit facing down. No damage or shatter on the plastic back or the camera unit frame and glass. Next, the last drop from pocket height, display side facing down. The Samsung A21s has managed to handle all 4 drops from pocket height without any dents, cracks or shatter to the undisclosed tempered glass protection. We are performing the drop test on the Samsung Galaxy A21s from different angles to know how this plastic design and LCD display handles hard drop impacts. So now increasing the height to about 1.7 meters head height in the final round, bottom side facing down. No damages as yet on the plastic edge, unlike the Narzo 10 midframe which broke at the bottom side. Next, the second high drop, top side facing down. This plastic design seems to be doing great until now. No cracks or dents on the plastic midframe, unlike the Narzo 10 and Samsung Galaxy M11, which had already suffered cracks at this stage. Next up, turning on video recording for the third high drop, camera unit glass facing down. Unlike the Narzo 10, which had some damages at the camera unit frame, the camera unit on the A21s manages to survive the hard impact. Now turning on video recording on the punch hole selfie camera for the last finale drop, screen side facing down. As you can see, the LCD display is still alive from the hard impact, unlike the failure of the Galaxy A70s, with no shatter or cracks suffered on the unnamed tempered glass protection. Everything else also seems fine, like the camera functions with no internal damage to parts. The Samsung Galaxy A21s looks like it has passed the drop test with ease, but we did encounter an issue later on. As we had mentioned earlier in the water test about the recovered sound, the hard drops for the first time on any device has severely affected the audio. The sound unit has got permanently damaged with low sounding distorted audio from the external speaker. Next up, moving on to fun stuff with value. A genuine bend test will show the actual build quality of devices the company has given you for your money. Especially those devices which have failed the bend test help us consumers by pushing brands into making stronger builds for us in the future. Unfortunately, the Samsung A series devices have mostly failed the bend test, and the same seems to be happening to the A21s with a similar design language. That is a huge degree of bend after the loud cracking noise, but the glass has survived without shatter. As of now, we are not sure what has broken inside, but the A21s manages to lock out and is somehow still working. So let's continue the bend test from the back side to see if it suffers any further damage. Luckily, there was no more damage or loud cracks from the backside pressure, and the phone still remains functional even after a huge cracking sound and a large degree of bend. But the fact remains that Samsung are not learning from the past mistakes with ultra soft build devices like the A50, A51, A70s, A20 or the A71, all of which had failed badly. The only A-series devices which had managed to pass were the A20s and the A10 because they had entirely different design and build quality. The Samsung Galaxy A21s here has that same soft build quality of its failed predecessors but still manages to not entirely fail in terms of total structural failure or function, though it did suffer from some screen bleeding issues near the power keys due to the high degree of flex and permanent damage to the sound unit from the top test.